Hello! Welcome to Batman Comedy and Other Stuff, the podcast where we talk about Batman, comedy, and other stuff. With me as always is Comedian Kyle Adams. This is our second episode. How you doing, Kyle?
I am doing well.
Yeah, we got a big week in Batman news, and we got a lot of Batman things to talk about.
And I've got the biggest Batman boner of all.
Yeah, biggest Batman boner of all. We sat back and watched as people reacted to the first episode of Batman Comedy and Other Stuff, and I have to say, it's been doing pretty good. We got about 300 Twitter followers from like 1 week. Mm-hmm. We got Kyle some new Twitter followers, me some new Twitter followers, so it was as you put it, was a good week in Twitter for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we were Twitter pated.
Yeah, we were Twitter pated. Very nice. Today on the show, we have comedian David Mascorro. And David Mascorro has a podcast of his own called That Awkward Phase.
The Awkward Phase, yeah.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So we'll be able to ask him about that. Also, David Mascorro is a big Batman fan, so we'll be able to get down to the real essential issues of Batman. Yep. I just want to do a quick shout out to some of the Twitter followers that supported us. Our 5 Twitter followers. We have Mr. Marshaw, who's a good guy, at Ingalls Tracy, at Finbone Finley. Love Finley, very good supporter of the Batman. Yeah, he really liked the show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we love that guy. At Radio Bush, very nice. And then at Jack Me Off 4021, he was our first hater. Yeah. Our first hater on the show. Yeah. He said, Batman Comedy Pod, a bunch of nerds talking about with Batman boners talking about Adam West's workout routine in the 60s. Hashtag ass clowns.
We just want to give credit where credit's due. Adam West busted his ass.
Exactly. So we're very happy that we got a joke made fun of us on that, and all the attention. Any good attention is good attention.
Good.
Attention's good attention. All right, Kyle. Let's get into some of the stuff that we didn't really touch upon in the first episode. Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. Let's first go into the trailers. Now, which trailer? Now, there's been 3 essential trailers that have come out on Suicide Squad. Which one's your favorite?
I enjoyed the very first Comic-Con leak. That actually, it got leaked, and then Warner Brothers is like, fuck it, we'll just release it because we don't want people seeing it in bad quality. It was the one that had the introduction of Amanda Waller in the beginning.
And I thought that was just a smart decision by Warner Brothers to not have that leaky, horrific footage be shown. For the most part, I like the first trailer as well. I think me and you discussed this already. The first trailer to Suicide Squad is definitely the most... the darker of all 3 of the trailers. And all of them are really good. Mm-hmm. All of them are pretty good. But you touched upon how you think they're kind of using too much music.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but I do feel like they are using a lot of music in the new trailers. And just not a lot of substance, just a lot of which is a good move in another way, because I don't want the movie ruined for me. I feel like they're kind of keeping this one shrouded in mystery more than Batman vs Superman was.
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's both of them are pretty good. I think it's weird that both song, the main songs in the last 2 of the trailers are the top 2 tracks in the Wayne's World soundtrack. But for the most part, I like the fact that they're keeping the Joker details very secretive. Mm-hmm. I like to think that. So this is my theory about the Joker in the Suicide Squad. Well, he's not a part of the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. I think that he's probably going to be more of an enemy in the movie. I think his main thing is... I think he's going to be looking for Harley Quinn. I think he's on the search for Harley Quinn. I think Harley is going to she'll be torn between the Joker's plans and Suicide Squad.
Oh, I definitely think I agree with you on that. I feel like Enchantress is the one they're going to be after. Mm-hmm. I'm not 100% on that, but that's what it seems like from what the trailers have given and the just the sneak shots of different shots in the trailers, of course. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to be going after Enchantress, and then I think the Joker's just going to show up and fuck things up, which I cannot wait to see. Like, just the shots of him, like, lying with knives and guns surrounding him. And, and even if he only has, like, 20 minutes in the movie, it'll still be the best 20 minutes of the movie, I think, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, let's go into there was a rumor online, and me and you both hated this rumor, where it was going around that maybe Jared Leto's Joker is actually Jason Todd or Dick Grayson, or he was a former Robin, and that might add something where there's like there was a main Joker, and everyone was kind of hoping that William Dafoe was the Joker. I hate that rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna have Joker in it, there has to be only one Joker. So I hope that's not true. And it doesn't actually, I think people are just, at that certain point, I think people are just, like, it's like, they're just making up the dots and then putting the lines.
No, that's definitely a huge stretch, and I don't know, I mean, if you read the comics, of course, Jason Todd does come back as Red Hood.
Yes.
And it's a completely separate character who despises the Joker in every single way, so I don't see how he could follow in the footsteps of someone that basically robbed him of his mortality. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the theory has a giant hole in it to me. And also, if you look at this Joker, this is a seasoned Joker. He has got his teeth replaced. He's covered in tattoos. He is on the top of his game, it seems.
What do you think about the discussion about how Jared Leto's Joker almost looks too young to be fighting Batman for 20 years?
I don't... Well, because if you think about it, I believe that they're both the same age. Or they're right there at the same age. Jared Leto might be a little bit younger than Ben Affleck. I don't know for
also, but I also think, like, if Batman has a career, like, I mean, like, I don't know, like, you can change up Batman's storyline to where he's been only battling Joker for those 10 years when he's been doing
exactly. We do not know where Suicide Squad takes place on the timeline yet. We don't know if it's before Batman vs Superman or if it's after. And I think it could be anywhere in between.
Honestly, I hope Jared Leto is the Joker. He's the essential Joker that we can like, and for like future movies and stuff like that. I hope that he keeps coming back. Let's talk about the villains in Suicide Squad, specifically the Batman villains. We have the Joker, we have Harley Quinn, we have Killer Croc, and who's the other one?
We have Deadshot. We have Will Smith as Deadshot. Yes, as a Batman villain.
Yes, and that was... go ahead.
I've heard... there have been speculations. Will Smith has gone on record saying that there is going to be some scenes between... spoilers, of course. There's going to be some scenes between him and Batman that are going to be pretty interesting. Like, he's going to run into Batman.
That's going to be cool. That's going to be cool.
And
Will Smith.
Will Smith fighting Ben Affleck Batman. That is going to be...
I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel bad. I didn't say spoilers directly before that.
You said spoiler alert before. But this is the Batman podcast.
Yeah, we're fucking nerds.
Yeah, we want that kind of information. Let's talk about some other news. Willem Dafoe is cast in the Justice League film, and so is J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. We have a new Commissioner Gordon. Before we speculate what Willem Dafoe has as a role, J.K. Simmons, we definitely know he's our new commissioner. How do you feel about that casting choice?
I like him as an actor. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I like his... I think he could bring some really good comedy into it, because he's very dry-witted, and that fits the DC Universe comedy-wise. Because Gordon always had that little bit of wit to him, you know what I mean? Like, even in Dark Knight, you see it in the Dark Knight trilogy. I think it's kind of a huge role to fill, and I'm a little wary just because he was J.J. Joe Jameson, whatever, the triple J. And he played that role so like he nailed that role. It's just gonna be strange for me to see him in that. But
he's a comedic actor. But I hope, he does. I mean, I like the fact that he is an older Commissioner Gordon. someone who is middle-aged, because Gary Oldman was good, but he also kind of looked, well, he was young, he was cast, like, kind of as a young Commissioner Gordon, and then they kind of, like, jumped ahead and, like...
Well, yeah, because they had his whole, like...
Yeah, exactly.
They had his whole, like, going through the ranks,
Yeah. How did you feel about the Commissioner Gordon they used in the original Batman franchise?
I felt like he was severely underused, and like
he didn't really have too much. They didn't really. Pat Hingle, the actor, Pat Hingle. Yeah.
Pat Hingle. So I go back and I watch Batman 1989. I always forget that Harvey Dent is in that movie and has scenes with Pat Hingle, and you're just like, because it's just, let's get to some fucking Batman, It's just, but you go back and you watch that and you go, there wasn't really that much to it. Like they had that subplot, but it feels like they kind of it fell to the wayside when it came to just Nicholson on the screen,
Yeah, exactly.
But he. I think the biggest interaction he had was like with Poison Ivy that I liked, and Batman and Robin was one of the few points that I liked.
Well, he saves a bunch of police officers in Batman and Robin. He's like the only one that can get to the lever where his men are being poisoned.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
That was like his big action scene.
Yeah.
I
forgot about that.
When he thinks about the Batman franchise, he's like, the third and fourth one's when it gets good.
Pat Hingle. He's like, that's right. They got old Pat Hingle off the bench.
They got old Pat Hingle off the bench.
Yeah. Pat Hingle off the bench and out on into the fray.
I thought he was good for how they used him though. I like one of my favorite scenes in Batman Forever is when he's shouting at the Batwing.
Oh yeah.
When Batman's going through
and Val Kilmer gives him a thumbs up. And he cannot possibly see it from the ground.
Possibly see that fucking thumbs up. That gets me thinking about that whole Batman Forever movie. I think everything can be summed up kind of like in like just like in the first 45 seconds. Because it looks so promising. It's dark, it's in the Batcave. And like he's getting ready, which is really cool.
And then they flash his butt, and we're like, it's all over for me.
Yeah, I think what really loses me is that bat butt.
The bat butt.
It really kills my bat boner. That bat butt. Jack me up. We're just gonna be using his insult towards our Batman boners.
Oh no! Well, we can do a gauge every episode where our Batman boners.
How hard is our Batman boners?
Our Batman boners are at full capacity. We're a little sad. We only have bat chubbies today.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have it'll be like the terror alert. It'll be like green to red.
I really hate the sandwich joke they put in Batman Forever. It's like, will you be persuaded to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll take drive-through. Val Kilmer. I wish Val Kilmer would go back and do a Batman movie now, the shape that he's in. It would just be so...
That'd be pretty funny.
That'd be pretty great.
Yeah, we talked about that before. We talked about how, like, I think that George Clooney probably would have made a pretty good Batman. Even, like, today, he probably would make a pretty good Batman. It's just that, he was just stuck in, like, a horrible situation.
I saw this thing on Watch Mojo where it was talking about actors who hated the movies that they were in, and he was talking about it on a talk show, and he's like, yeah, I thought I ruined the franchise. I was just like, that was like one thing I was proud about.
Yeah.
That I ruined the Batman franchise. He's like, well,
single-handedly ruined the Batman franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always sad when you think about that. I mean, they were going in such... I mean, even Forever, even if they just would have made another Batman Forever after Batman Forever, it still would have had some...
You heard about the canceled one, right?
Batman
Unchained.
I think it was
Triumphant. Okay, so it's the same movie, but there's been different names attached.
Yeah,
to it.
exactly.
But it was supposed to be Jack Nicholson. Not Jack Nicholson. What is his name? Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage as the Scarecrow, and it was supposed to have Harlequin in it, who was going to play Joker's daughter.
Yeah.
And they
Jack Nicholson was supposed to make a cameo appearance a dream that Batman actually has to face, because he has to face his fears. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been interesting. I would have always loved. I wanted to see a Man-Bat movie.
Oh, well, yeah.
That the first episode to the animated series was the Man Bat
yeah.
story.
On
Yeah,
Leather
that's
Wings,
a great one. Yeah,
On Leather Wings is a great episode.
Yeah.
I said that as a kid that I wanted to see that, and there's actually some pretty cool levels in Arkham Knight where you actually track him down. And you'll see him flying, and you'll have to like catch him.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always just really cool to see those guys go at it. Brings us to Ben Affleck has full creative control, and these Batman movies. What villains you want to see? I think we already discussed this. You said you were a fan of Clayface, but there's so many others. Now, if they had to bring back a villain that has been used before, obviously the Joker, you kind of want to see him in a solo Batman film. But like, which villain would you like to see get kind of remade that they've already done?
I want to see Mr. Freeze done justice for sure.
Yeah, exactly. We actually, to pregame before this show, we actually watched Heart of Ice. Some of Heart of Ice, which is a great, actually, episode in the Batman animated series.
It's very dramatic episode, and it really goes to the heart of what they were trying to do with the character with the animated show. And it's so crazy because that animated series gave Mr. Freeze the current backstory that he has now in the comics, and it also introduced Harlequin as a character. So they've done a lot. That show really did a lot. Bruce Timm and Paul Dini did a lot with that show.
Yeah, it was great.
That really added to the mythos.
Bruce Timm and Paul Dini stayed with that show. In fact, all the episodes that they actually wrote were, some of my favorite episodes. They were just really, they created a great universe. And also, they created the whole DC animated, it all started from Batman. Justice League or Superman would have never got started if it wasn't for Batman doing so well. And then, of course, the Justice League wouldn't have started if those shows didn't get off the ground.
And they wouldn't have all had those big boxy shoulders and tiny legs.
Exactly.
I love the art style of that, but I always laugh when I see them in profile on the Justice League because they're shaped like triangles.
Oh yeah. Well, it looks really bad on the opening sequence of the original Justice League because you have Batman's shoulders are they just look unreal. Yeah.
Did you ever? Just go off on a little tangent here for a second. Did you ever watch The Batman? Have you seen any of that?
Which one?
It's called The Batman.
The Batman. You know what? I did watch some. I watched the first episode. I didn't really like it just because I think it was too kids show for me.
Yeah, it didn't really resonate with me either. I liked some of the backstory they had with the Penguin was kind of interesting. They said the Cobblepots were a rival family, and they kind of fleshed that out more with Bruce Wayne and stuff. But besides that, it was kind of treading on ground they've already covered, but it wasn't quite done as well,
Yeah.
In some ways. That's just my opinion, but
yeah.
I watched that for a little bit.
Oh, I think our guest just arrived here. But yeah, I just love the Heart of Ice episode in particular. I just like Mr. Freeze being taken to such a serious level.
Oh, yeah.
Without the puns, without the Freeze puns and stuff like that. But yeah, the whole show was great. That show, actually, Heart of Ice, was the only episode in that thing to actually get nominated for an Emmy Award in writing. Yeah. Which is really cool.
And then it led to the Sub-Zero movie, which was kind of the overall arc of his character, which was a really good.
And they released that at the same time as Batman and Robin, but I think that because how poorly Batman and Robin did, they kind of try to disassociate it with it because it was kind of supposed to be the animated Sub-Zero movie since they're already doing the Schwarzenegger thing.
Yeah, they kind of lost me with the. With the booties and him watching the claymation cartoons, I think that was
sing! Hey, man, how's it going? Here, go ahead. Let's see.
Oh, that one right there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cool.
All right, our guest arrived here, David Mascorro.
Hey, how's it
going? Doing good, man. You actually have your own podcast.
I do.
That Awkward Phase.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
It's on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you can find podcasts, you'll be able to find it. Just Google Awkward Phase, and I'm the first one or second one that comes up. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
David, we wanted to have you on the show because we all frequent the Open Mic Funhouse Lounge on Wednesdays. Great mic. But before one of the shows started, we all kind of sat together and discussed Batman, and from then on, we just kind of wanted to continue doing it.
In a clown room, which is really fun.
Yeah, it's very.
Out of all the places you could start talking about Batman, that's a very good place to start.
Yeah. You actually talked about how you like the, because we were just talking about the Heart of Ice episode in the animated series.
Yeah, I just like, they've never really done, like, Mr. Freeze right. Like, it just like, they've always, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger one and Batman Robin, which is the worst Batman film.
We were actually just talking about how if Ben Affleck gets, for the Ben Affleck solo Batman film, what characters, if not the ones that we haven't seen already, but what characters would we love to see reinvented? But I think Mr. Freeze is definitely up there. Because, I mean...
Mr. Freeze would be a great one. The Penguin would be cool to see. He's almost... It's like 93, so like 93, right? 93,
92, I believe. From that
so
one,
it's like, that's been enough time to see another version... of the Penguin, and to see what it would look like. It's so much Danny DeVito in my head. It could be a tall, skinny penguin. Yeah. There's Emperor penguins. And,
there's all sorts of penguins that you can modify.
It doesn't have to be just one. Just look at all the different versions.
I think Batman Returns has to... I mean, Batman Returns... So, I mean, that still plays a pretty heavy influence. Like, I love rewatching that movie.
Oh, yeah, that was the first one I saw in theaters as a kid. And it was interesting. Like, it still holds up to this day. It's got its cheesy parts, of course, but...
It was the first one that was, like, the side characters were more interesting than Batman.
Yes.
Like Michael Keaton...
He kind of fell to the background in that one.
Yeah,
he was just kind of like
he was like murdering clowns at the beginning of that. It was one of those other ones where Tim Burton was not afraid. The new Batman gets a lot of flack for killing people, but Michael Keaton started he would just light clowns on fire, and they're like, "Oh, he's fine." No,
we touched base on that in the first episode. He straps dynamite to a guy, he kicks him in a hole, and then smiles as he blows up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind that. I don't mind the whole Batman killing people. To me, almost I think the way that they pulled it off, kind of in the first and second one, because it kind of seemed like collateral damage. Mm-hmm. Oh well, strapping the bomb to the guy, it's not really collateral.
Well, the guy was trying to. The guy was gonna. I think
the guy
he was
punched him.
He
punched him.
I feel like people confuse, right? It's not like he doesn't. It's not that he doesn't kill people. He just doesn't use guns, right? And they got mad at that. I get the Zack Snyder's okay, yeah, he used guns. That was weird, but he kills people all the time.
Yeah.
Well, it was
inconsequentially or not,
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's such a stretch from the Dark Knight trilogy where they keep saying the mantra, Batman doesn't kill anyone, Batman doesn't kill anyone, and then in the new one they're like, I'm gonna kill Superman. It's such a fucking stretch. And that's,
he wants to did you see Batman vs Superman?
I did.
Okay, yeah, so he wants to fucking stab Superman in the heart. He wants to fucking end him brutally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How'd you feel about that movie?
I liked it okay. I think that we needed a CrossFit Batman. I think that was a cool
CrossFit
montage.
He's hammering that tire.
There was a lot of people taking notes. I'm gonna start throwing a tire around.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting techniques about him getting ready, and it was not as good as the what was it in the Dark Knight when he's trying to get the fingerprint off of the bullet? Making kryptonite. You would think he would have made interesting more. I have this weird jagged shape. Sorry if you haven't watched it,
exactly.
But I have this jagged bit of. I guess I'll make a spear out of it. It's come on, man.
I like when they pulled it out of the ocean and it looked like the turd that Randy Marsh pooped in South Park. The big giant.
I was expecting some gauntlets or something like that. Cool kryptonite punching gloves would have been really cool. Yeah, that way he didn't have to shoot him with a gun or just start punching him. Yeah.
Now, one of my favorite parts about Batman vs Superman, as far as of the Verse franchise is concerned, is we definitely had a pretty definitive winner, right? I mean, Batman won. Mm-hmm. He was about to. The only reason why he didn't win is because all of a sudden he has a kind of glow of conscience. But in other versus movies, as far as Freddy vs. Jason or Alien vs. Predator, it's a stalemate at the end. Yeah. I like that they actually went ahead and we have a definitive winner. Mm-hmm. Because if Batman plans it out, he can always win. I think that's the,
It'd be boring if Superman won. Everyone expects It's like, well, yeah, how is a guy just gonna beat a guy that's mostly indestructible?
Yeah.
It would be the worst ending. The way it's like,
he just like shakes off that man's head.
like rips off both of his arms.
Yeah, he even said it. He says, "If I wanted you dead, everyone would have killed you already." You know?
Yeah, they talked about it before, like how like Superman would have won. I mean, the only reason why Superman doesn't win is because he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
he just doesn't like.
I mean, Superman. There's that one scene at the beginning of that movie where he punches that guy into the chest when he tries to like shoot Lois. Like he kills people too, right? Like he like that guy definitely had like 6 broken ribs at the very least.
I think there's a whole alternate universe where like he actually like punches the Joker through the heart.
That is the Injustice storyline. There was a video game that came out, and basically the Joker blew up Lois Lane, and he punches him through the chest, and it becomes like this regime world where Superman runs the world. Like,
yeah. Those Injustice games are really good.
Yeah.
How many movies did you find out? How many movies do you consider Batman movies, by the way? Because there's 9 Batman movies before the SVB one, so that makes it technically 10. Or do you consider like other ones, like other like straight to video stuff? How many?
I consider anything that gets a theatrical release.
Yeah.
Like the main.
Well, then you'd have to put the movie serials in there too. Then.
The which one?
The movie serials from 1940 with theatrical release.
Did they get a theatrical release?
They did. They were.
I remember watching them. Because they had Robin in them.
I got them on DVD, and they are interesting. To say
I always considered the first one just to be the Adam West.
Adam West one.
Yeah, exactly. That's as far back as I'm willing to go.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you talked about it kind of before, where which is kind of like the 1970s Batman is not like a bad show, you know. I mean, for what it was kind of like brilliantly cast.
No, it was it was satire for sure. I mean, it was like bold-faced satire of the character, and they knew it. And I think that's what people thought Batman is, and still to this day, there's like it kind of polarizes Batman fans. There's the Batman fans who want him to do the Bat-2C, and then there's the Batman fans that.
Well, I feel like it's hard, you know, because like Batman is such a broad character. He appeals on such a broad level, you know. So when you make like a movie about him, it's like, well, what age group are we? Because like any age group will do. You know, because that's why I don't think we'll ever see like probably like an R-rated like Batman live action film or something like that.
People always consider them like the Batman films to be like the American version of the James Bond film. Everyone's got their favorites, so it's like there's someone out there that loves George Clooney and the bat nipples. That's their favorite Batman. Like all the other stuff scares them.
You know, I always thought that movie was good, like just as like if you just view it as like a comedy. Like I always thought that movie's pretty funny. I like the part where like Mr. Freeze like shows up like in this laboratory. I guess he has a bunch of henchmen, and then there's this like there's these 2 scientists. One of them's like this balding guy, and then there's like black lady, and then she's like, and they're like, "Who is this nutball?" That line always
I think those movies get a lot of flack because of the way the city looks. The city looks like a giant pinball machine. It just looks awful. It's really bright and neon-y, and you're like, no, I get that you're trying to make it look like a cartoon, like a comic book, but this is like ridiculously bright.
Even if they're trying to appeal to like even like just kids, I always found those movies to be like, I mean, they were kind of like even like the last Batman and Robin, there was kind of like a lot of like, I don't know, like kind of inappropriate stuff like for kids to watch. There was pretty like sexualized.
He was also like a 25-year-old Robin, right? It was like we can't this is the 90s. We can't justify this guy hanging out with a kid. You could have tried.
How old is like the perfect Robin? I guess if you're making him,
I don't know, someone like it's kind of like a Big Brothers. Do you think of it as a Big Brothers of America kind of thing? Kind of like you need like a mentor. It'd
be hard to. I mean, like I just think
teenage years, somewhat, or like 12, because like you gotta be young enough to kind of need someone in your life to be like a father figure, but not old enough where you can't learn martial arts. Like that's like you can't start off at like 35. You know,
it started off as because he was written out around the war. Obviously, and there's a lot of kids who had lost their parents around that time, and that was kind of like why they had a lot of the superheroes had younger people, because it was kind of like, this
he was the first Spider-Man
basically. But I think the youngest Robin I think has been like 10 or 11. I think that maybe 15 or so is.
I think it's kind of weird that Batman puts children's lives at stake. Like, just takes them under their wing and like, all right, we're gonna go face bullets now.
Is it true? You probably know better than I. Are all Robins? Do they have like all dead families? Like, is it like all like, no mom, no dad, you're my ward?
I think a few of them have.
Tim Drake, I don't think had. I think he had parents.
A few of them have parents. A few of them are just like at risk youth.
Yeah.
You know, and I think Tim Drake stole the Batmobile or something. Like somebody like stole the Batmobile, and that's why.
Yeah.
One of them was a thief.
Tim Drake is the one that became part of the Young Justice. Right?
Yeah.
And then they killed one off because he was like hated, right?
Jason Todd.
Yeah.
They voted him the DC.
Yeah, the universe like voted to like
readers.
murder him because it's just a cool thing to like. If you give people that option, they're gonna like do it. They're like, they hurt you.
It's a kid too.
Yeah. They murdered a kid.
Yeah, they murdered a kid.
Then that was like a theory during Batman vs Superman, all the trailer that might be like Jason Todd.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, that like it could have been like because he ends up being like Red Helmet in some books.
Yeah, Red Hood.
And what if it ends up turning out to be like the first Robin? Like, how does that play into effect? Like, so now all of a sudden, do we have a Nightwing?
They said there might be a Nightwing showing up in Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
we might see Nightwing in it. Is something that I have heard. That's one of the rumors.
Yeah,
they're hinting at him a bit.
It'd be kind of hard because like with that specific Batman, like the one they established in Batman vs Superman, he already has like a whole story. You know, we're not like starting out with anything. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we'll never see that happened in those like 20 years.
I thought he had like a dead dead Robin, right? I thought that's
He's always there's always like a dead Robin.
They linked it up actually, and they said the actual year that Jason Todd was killed off in the comics was exactly 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're saying it's most likely Jason Todd as the Robin.
As far as Batman,
to that.
as far as like Batman stories go at all, how do you like it when like he has like a sidekick? You know, like because I always like my favorite thing about Batman was that he was always like working alone. You know, some of my favorite stories is when he's working alone. So like I don't know if like.
I like to watch him struggle.
Yeah.
I want my Batman to struggle. I know that sounds strange, I want to see him get beat up. I want to see like when he has sidekicks. It seems like they just sweep the floor.
Yeah, I think they always bring him in. I think they bring Robins in when they have like when he's either facing. Like someone that's like a really like smart alecky bad guy, or when they bring in another hero that loves to talk.
Yeah.
And so Robin can be like the third, like kind of like the audience, like this guy doesn't shut up, does he? Like or that kind of thing. He's more of a plot device to kind of like say things that Batman could normally say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just like another voice on the battlefield, basically. Yeah, I get that.
Well, as far as his history goes, I mean, it's always like because like. I don't even know how it is in the comics right now, but Batman definitely starts off working alone. All of a sudden, which one? Dick Grayson comes in. From Dick Grayson, we get Batgirl, because Batgirl and Dick Grayson eventually like date at some point, right?
I think it's Tim Drake actually.
Oh, okay.
But it is definitely one of the Robins. I can't remember. It's either.
But at some point, he does have like a Bat family.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the whole
with Batman Robin.
That's the whole plot line in the comics now. With the Joker tries to kill everybody off.
Oh yeah.
In Death of the Family, and he says these people are slowing you down. I want to make you a better superhero. So he goes and tries.
Really? Wait. So he's trying to help out Batman?
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Well, he loves Batman.
Like Joker loves Batman.
Yeah,
like it's weird. Like it's weird. Like I was watching to get ready for this. I'm watching some clips about the Mask of the Phantasm.
Oh yeah.
And how he's like, no, this one's a different one. He goes, this one kind of like he's kind of like mad that there's another copy. Like there's some guy that's like obviously trying to copy who Batman is and does it like worse.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like,
oh yeah.
And he's like, I don't like that there's the other dude out there. He goes, Bats is like he's like his biggest fan. He's like I don't like that there's another person out there kind of trying to smear his name. You know.
Well, I think that was so great. I think they touched upon that kind of whole theme, which is kind of why it's so brilliant. Is in Dark Knight. In Dark Knight, the Joker actually like says like, I think this is a war that me and you will have forever.
Yeah, that makes me so sad here. Oh,
it does, right?
It could have been so great.
No, just for this film.
Yeah. But no, they definitely have that. They're like, he's like, I wouldn't want to kill you. It's like, you complete me. You know, like, they have that. I think it's it's a sick admiration that he has, but they feel like they're two puzzle pieces, like we were talking about before.
Well, yeah, and then it kind of especially in the Dark Knight, it definitely goes into like if the Batman never existed, the Joker probably wouldn't either. Like the Joker is just kind of escalating what Batman's already established.
Yeah,
I think that's like that's kind of one of my favorite things about the whole like Batman kind of universe or like Gotham at all. You know, it's just the fact that. You know, is Batman helping out his city at all?
Or making it worse, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why that movie ends so brilliantly, like The Dark Knight. It's like, because he has to be a fringe. There can't be copycat Batmans running around, because they're either going to get killed or hurt, and that just looks, it's not a good thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
So Batman basically has to be somewhat of a bad dude. Like, not someone to look up to, but he's like, let me just do what I need to do. Try not to, I'm going to try to... My whole thing is to play in the background. You're not ever supposed to hear from me or see from me.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the fact that, you know, like, despite his actual progress in the city, Batman's going to continue being Batman regardless. That's what I didn't like about The Dark Knight Rises, you know, because they definitely were like, okay, Batman is going to retire after this and live a happy life. And they're actually, like, make, like, a Batman statue, and I just can't get on board.
Yeah,
it's like a happy ending. Like I don't like that.
I wanted him to blow up with the nuke. I wanted that to be the end. Like if I would have edited the movie, he would have blown up with the nuke, and that would have been the end of the series. Like because he even hints at it. Like Catwoman says, you don't owe these people anything. You've already given them everything. And he's like, no, not yet. I still got my life to give. You know, like that. Like I liked that kind of like sacrifice. You
not
know?
Yet.
Not yet.
How did you feel about the Christopher Nolan franchise?
I liked it. I think as a whole, it's just exciting to see. Like, it really felt as real as it could ever feel. Like it just felt like I just love what he does. Nolan, how some shots that just like you really feel like when the first one. Batman could probably die if he fell off that cliff, that mountain where he's like saves Ra's al Ghul, and it just feels dangerous and kind of like he's still learning and he's like real messy. Like he's a messy Batman.
Yeah.
And the second one, he's a little better, but like he's like I don't know. It just gets better and better. And then the last one, I liked it, but it was way more Gotham City than Batman. Like you just had like it was a weird thing about like the city more than anything, and just like what happens when they like well we just need you, right? They're like well you also need to like do this for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm only like one dude. This is New York City or whatever. You know, it's this is a city full of millions of people. I can't help all your problems.
And Bane does martial law and there's like tanks running around.
Basically gives people the power, and the people are like, I don't want it. And they're like, okay, well, I guess we'll take it back.
See, that was another thing where they utilized, like, because they grabbed themes from the comic No Man's Land.
Yes.
Which was a great Batman storyline where, like, Gotham actually goes through an earthquake and, like, all the prisoners are set free and Gotham becomes like a No Man's Land where, like, people are, like, taking, like, territory and stuff. But yeah, no, I always wanted to see that. I kind of want, like, if they make the Ben Affleck solo film, like, I really want to see, like, Batman just in Arkham Asylum.
Oh, that would be insane. Like, if they could kind of incorporate that comic itself, because Arkham Asylum was such
the actual
comic was insane. I mean, the storyline of it is just kind of vague, so they could do whatever they wanted. But if they could incorporate some of the characters,
well, it's great because like, did you ever read like the Batman Arkham Asylum graphic novel?
Is it based off of like which one's based off first, the video game or the comic books?
It's the comic book first.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I got the gist of the story, but like feel free to fill in gaps. Like I know about like.
Yes. Oh yeah, so the Batman Arkham Asylum comic book. I mean, well, it was like
it's mostly a caricature. It's mostly a caricature of all the different villains, and it doesn't. It's almost non-linear. It's kind of weird, and the illustrations are just insane.
So yeah, like
it's very artistic, like in that style.
The villains take over, but it's like it's really artistic. It's really abstract. So Batman has to go in and he has to face kind of like all his Batman villains. It's kind of a short story, you know, for as much as they go over. But it's really cool because I mean, like. You don't even know if it's like real or not. Like it's so abstract, and it just feels like it actually looks like a dream. Like it's just like this hyper realism, like kind of.
Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to read.
Yeah,
the some of the lines are like scribbled into the wall in the background.
They
and
actually
stuff.
and
it's
they
really odd.
And they go in and out of the actual like the diaries of the founding
of Arkham.
Which is really cool.
That's something they sprinkled in the Arkham game, which was really awesome.
Yeah, because
then actually completed the first
because
one.
it adds to this like kind of like this haunting kind of like.
Yeah, I think I did read like isn't like the history of Arkham's like messed up as well, right? Like
yeah.
everything is messed up.
Everything is messed up
from the very beginning. Like,
well, they said it's like a giant Indian burial ground, like the whole city. Yeah, is one thing they were saying.
Yeah, but that was a great. I've always wanted them to kind of like. I mean, they kind of already did. Cause see, like I think Batman: Arkham Asylum is just the video game, and that's already like a pretty cool movie that we got.
I like the fact that Ben Affleck's Batman is following in the style, the fighting style of those games. And I think that's something we haven't seen on the screen before, and I'm really excited for a solo.
Yeah, you know, I think because when you watch the trailer, it starts off with like Batman like beating up all those guys in the Batman vs Superman trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was going to be like one of the first scenes that we got with Batman, but then like it's also like. I can't believe Batman did that after fighting Superman. Like, I can't believe he still had, like, the energy, you know?
Oh, yeah, I kept saying that.
Like, how did he... he just fought Superman, and now he just beat up 20 guys.
Yeah, they didn't show that he's, like, taking a 5-hour energy drink. He's just like...
Dude, he hit the shit out of that tire with a sledgehammer, man. You can go for hours.
It was crazy. The amount... There's that movie, if you start thinking about this, it's fun. I'm glad we saw it. I'm glad it's now past us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like you have to get past it to get better. But it's good, but it's not a perfect film.
Well, where do you think the faults lie with it, David?
The Batman vs Superman movie?
Yeah.
Just how much... but, like, I get what he was trying to do. The scope of it is just so much stuff. And, trying to put in, like, the death of Superman, plus the fight, plus introduce Wonder Woman, plus introduce... like the Flash, plus introduce blah 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 everything, and then also have so much brooding, and then set up the Elseworld stuff. You know, like
it's
just a lot of stuff. He put so much stuff in there.
Yeah, I wish it kind of just focused on the Batman.
Yeah, it's like it's like an essay that should have been double space, and he made it single space. so much stuff. It's he made us too. It was just like you saw some cool shit, but you're just like, okay, but where? I don't get to see any of that. Like you get to see one little bit of like the flying evil things, and you're like, oh, that's really cool. And you see a little glimpse of like trust your instincts. Superman might go bad, but then they switch gears again, and then all the demon. I liked his weird alcoholic bat demon dreams that he had.
Oh yeah, he is kind of an alcoholic. Have you ever has that ever happened
in Dark Knight? I remember him throwing martinis out the window of fucking Wayne Penthouse, which is kind of a dick move, especially the people who get those martinis.
Yeah, exactly. Now, in the alternate universe Flashpoint, where we're introduced as Thomas Wayne is Batman, that guy's like a hardcore alcoholic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that Thomas Wayne is like...
Well, he just straight up murders people. He's just the Punisher in a bat suit.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't wait to see hopefully one day they do like an Azrael like character on the screen. That would be really cool.
That would be insane. See, that's what I thought was missing from Dark Knight Rises, because it was following that Nightfall storyline.
Nightfall was a great storyline that they kind of misused.
I felt like
for Bane at all, you know.
I thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going to be Azrael. That's what I thought the whole time going in, and I thought he was going to lose it, and then that would be the end.
It's kind of hard to like make like a really like awesome like robot bat suit for those Christopher Nolan movies, you know, because everything was. I think that's almost like kind of like it's like Achilles' heel in a way, because it's so much set up in realism, and there's so much of Batman's mythology that is like mystic. And
I mean, it's so realistic. You couldn't understand the bad guy at all, because like if a guy has a mask, he's going to sound like shit like every time he talks.
Yeah, exactly. And Bane is just kind of like a great. I mean, I think his comic origins are just kind of. I think it was weird that they kind of like changed him.
Yeah,
up
they
a little
switched
bit.
it around.
Isn't he from like Spain? Wasn't he?
Yeah,
from, like,
he's from from a false place, but a fictional place called Santa Prisca.
Okay,
and it's like a prison island in Spain.
Yeah.
Or like he's Spanish. I think he's like
he's
like an islander.
In the
or
Bruce
something.
Timm's cartoons, he had like a Spanish accent,
which I think was weird that they went with a British guy
Yeah.
over that, because that could have been an interesting role for a Spanish.
Because it made sense, because like this guy that has like machismo, like this Latino machismo, like, I'm gonna break the bat's back. That's like awesome. And then like, I still like that scene though. Like that scene in Dark Knight Rises is really like.
Oh, when they actually fight? Yeah, no, that's
one of the
awesome.
most desperate.
Yeah.
Like you're like, wow, Batman is actually getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And it's like it was even more. It was even better. When you think about it, like the Superman one was good but you knew he was going to take it. But like, wow, Bane is really strong. Like, you really got to see how.
He
like,
yells
just,
in frustration when he's
Yeah.
getting oh!
There's some real fun. There's some real fun stuff when you go back and watch that.
That's the best part of the movie.
That film is fun, and then you're just too long, and
I just
ending
think
is
like,
rough.
and then I think like I don't know. I think a lot of the stuff is like over the top, like with them blowing up like Heinz Field. And like having
that guy still scored the goal though. That's what's important. He still scored that touchdown.
I didn't really.
That would have been such an awesome you just not even aware.
I think it was hilarious. It's kind of like a kind of put down to Pittsburgh. It's like, well, this is what Gotham City looked like if Gotham was just the shittiest. They kind of made it like, because they're like yes, what happens to no Batman? Everything gets rusty and gross. Like
that's a good point.
I think that's what kind of made me
point.
sad about the Christopher Nolan. Franchise, it's so set up in realism and like contrastly with like Tim Burton stuff, because Tim Burton like kind of like romanticized.
There's that beautiful shot where it's like the cartoon animated where the cape, like it's the very first time the robbers rob those two guys.
Oh yeah,
and then you see it's just a silhouette and like it walks in. That's awesome. And that's your first like glimpse of him.
Exactly. There's a lot of, and I don't even think that they really did that with like Batman vs Superman. I mean, they didn't really like get like the whole like there's a lot of like almost like gothic opera that I really like about Batman. Because it is like very like it's very tragic. Like I think that's why I like Batman Returns so much. Just because like just the three uses of like just the three animals in that, like Batman, Penguin, and Cat, because you kind of get like three animals like roving around in that movie.
And they had each of their different stages. Like you had the Penguin circusy stuff, and then you had Selena Kyle with all of her like really cool, like whether making her stuff or like beating up Christopher Walken. And
Exactly.
There was three different motives that were going through that movie that was really cool to watch. And there was very sexual, like how like she was like flirting with Michael Keaton.
Super sexual.
Yeah.
He's like
and
for PG-13, right?
Penguin, PG-13, and Penguin was being super lecherous in
the
movie. Like,
and he's in his underwear.
It's like an underwear suit.
Yeah, and it's like super stained.
Yeah,
what's going on?
That was
his body looked like a pillow that everyone in the world used. Like it just looked like everyone had drooled on him at some point. It was just so messy.
Let's actually talk about, before we get to our last subject, kind of just want to switch the thing real quick before we talk about, because we're going to talk about the greatest Batman movie. We're going to try to list the greatest Batman movies of all time. But let's talk about stand-up. How long have you been doing stand-up now?
It'll be 8 years in May.
Oh,
yeah.
8 years.
Yeah.
So did you start all in Portland?
No. I've been doing. There'll be 4 years in Portland in May. 4 years in Chicago.
Oh,
before,
4 years.
And then before that, I did 4 years of improv.
Okay.
So,
nice.
Been doing comedy for a long time.
So is the 4 year? That's not even added onto your stand-up time. So really,
it's like 12 years in comedy.
Yeah, I've been like trying to write comedy for a long time. So.
Yeah. So what age did you start doing that?
When I was 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So how's the scene in Chicago?
It's good. It's a good scene. It's fun. It's just fun to see how different it is. Like Portland always reminded me of a Chicago when I first it's going to be the place where people move like 2 to 3 years from now for comedy. Like it's getting that way already, but it's definitely just it's a fertile ground for talent, and like I said, you can do whatever you want. That's what I think people like some open micers need to realize. You can do whatever you want. Just kind of just kind of take chances, fail a little bit. Because you don't have any national scene really like watching like you do in L.A. or New York.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have a lot of freedom to do. Because like I heard people like in L.A. like if you do that stuff, if you do a set in front of the wrong person, like you're done basically. Like you're not going to get in for another until they see you again and doing.
Well, I imagine like the more comics the more comics that are around you, the harder it is to like because it's all about like kind of first impressions.
Yeah.
You know, imagine that. We have some comics already heading to LA from Portland. See, I'm from Albuquerque, so, like, I come from a smaller scene, but to me, like, Portland is, like, this is my LA.
Yeah.
This is my pre-LA.
Yeah. And then everyone's got, like, like, this is my second scene. I was okay in comedy in Chicago. I was fine. But I felt like I wasn't growing. I mean, like, my scene, like, coming out of it, had T.J. Miller, Nick Vatterott, Pete Holmes, Kumail Nanjiani, Hannibal Buress. I remember still doing like open mics. Hannibal would go up. Cameron Esposito ran the best mic in town. There's Megan Gailey, who's just got on JFL. Lisa Traeger, who works with Louis C.K. and works at Gotham. Like these are all people that I did showcases with and came up in the scene and now are just like huge. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like I kind of like idolized the people I work with too much and didn't allow myself to grow and take chances more. I was like, oh my god, I can't fuck up. Yeah. I gotta be super on point and be as funny as I can.
Yeah, exactly.
When instead of I should have just been like, I'm a nobody comic. I should be just like taking chances, figuring out who I am and figuring out who I want to be, and trying to be bad for a time, but it'll get better as more I go.
How are you feeling about your stand up now? Like, I mean, just like as far as writing goes.
Oh, like, it's fun to see to go back to old notebooks and be like, wow, I was really insecure. I was really, and I thought I used to think shock was more important than truth. Like honest thoughts. And by that I don't mean like just tell something the truth. I mean like to tell jokes that you think you are funny takes a long time. That you actually think that you would laugh at if it wasn't you coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, a lot of the times I think when you, well, at least like, I feel like I'm still like learning what the world is, you know? Like I haven't even like kind of like, cause you mentioned like truth, like kind of thing. Like it comes to a point where like you're almost like by writing, you're forming your opinions. Yeah.
And you ever say a joke that doesn't it works, but it doesn't work for you? You ever like it works? You're like but it doesn't. But you get a laugh, and you don't. You're like either you're like it just doesn't feel, and so you drop it. That's what I'm talking about. Like,
exactly.
It just you can get laughs, and you can figure out how to do that. I mean, you're gonna get a laugh every time you say, "Well, that joke was new." You're gonna get a laugh no matter if it fails.
Yeah, exactly.
There's little tricks and little things that you can do, but you're like, nah. Once you start figuring out what you like and your voice is, that's the best thing, I think. It just and having the courage to actually just try to be yourself. So I used to be a one-liner comic, and now I'm more of a storyteller, observational guy.
I feel like those are the best always because you can always have the passion to tell something that's happened to you. You can't drum up the passion for something that you made up.
Well, I feel like even when you're telling a story, I mean, a lot of the times when it comes down to, I mean, you kind of, it has to be like on a line-to-line basis where it is like kind of like these like jokes that you're setting up. You know, because you still have to be funny within like the first like, I mean, like, kind of like 7 seconds, you know?
I mean, you have to know how a story works.
Exactly.
Like, you have to know, like, okay, beginning, what are your intentions? What are you introducing to the audience?
Yeah.
Can you make the audience laugh while you take them on this journey? And then how are you going to end? Because if it's not important enough to end well, then why even say it?
Exactly.
Like that kind of thing. So.
Yeah. And it's all about finding which taglines to put where, and that's one thing. Like my dad will go up there every once in a while, and he'll just tell a story like he was talking to someone at a fucking coffee shop. And it's just like, no, you have to like.
My ending's like, well, yep. So that's it.
And you're just like, okay.
You're like, oh yeah, the way all my favorite books ended. And I got stabbed, So the end,
I feel like it is important to not only when you're telling a story just to pepper in the funny and that's what I feel like takes the most time and the most hard work is like revisiting old material and that's where I'm getting to my own point because I'm getting I kind of writer's block pretty bad right now, but yeah, that's definitely something that I need to look at more.
It goes by a thing where it's like either like I have like a stream of stuff that's coming through me and it's like, oh, okay, I really like this stuff. I'm like excited to like actually like do it, and then it'll come down to like a whole week where it's just like I know like when I start repeating stuff, that's when I know it's like, oh, this is not getting fun anymore.
It's when you can repeat as long as you can tell the joke like it's the first time you told the joke.
Yeah,
it's when you're reciting instead of performing. Like there's a difference between like performing a joke and then like just saying it. Like like when your eyes kind of go up a little bit when you're saying, you're like, and punchline in 25 seconds, 24 seconds, 23, and then here you go. And like you just don't deliver it well. That's the delivery. That's the timing. That's the whole like. Yeah, like what if you're tired of telling it, the audience, whether you know it or not, are going to know that you're tired of telling it.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. All right, so let's because we're running kind of out of time, but we will discuss Batman films of all time. All right, music. Okay, so these are the films that I am including on our list. So have you ever seen the 1940s Batman film?
I haven't. All right, it's not a film per se. It's actually like mini serials, like there's episodes.
Okay, so
he's just talking about Nosferatu.
I'm just gonna include.
That's my favorite Batman film, Nosferatu. So good.
It's a Batman.
Yeah. It's all quiet and brooding.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so quiet and brooding. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nine films to go off that all got a featured film release. We have the Batman Adam West version. I'm including Batman Mask of Phantasm because
that one totally counts because that one when they were making it they knew they had something really special and it was kind of like the Batman Begins version of Bruce Timm's and the animators version of that. Like they told a whole story.
Yeah.
About a Batman, like that was great, right? And then wasn't the first time wasn't one of the first times Mark Hamill played the Joker, or what?
He was already on the show, but that was his first time, like him getting really popular for that.
Yeah,
it was because I think he got some not notoriety, but he got a little bit of attention from that too.
Okay, and then of course the Christopher Nolan films, and then all 4 of the original Batman franchise in the 90s. Let's just go from worst to best. And I'll just kind of okay, so it's definitely probably in between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin for worst, right?
Batman and Robin's definitely the worst, just because George Clooney was the worst Batman.
Yeah,
he was really bad, and bat nipples.
Bat nipple, yeah, okay, and then we're going into Batman and Robin. Batman Forever versus Batman's Adam West. I feel like
Batman Forever probably loses that one then, because like it was still good. Like you're gonna make money because of Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But like Tommy Lee Jones' awful Two-Face.
Oh yeah, terrible. Yeah.
It was just the opening scene in that movie just so gross with like the safe and full of acid.
Oh yeah.
It's fun in some ways.
Glasses.
But I think that you can't.
My shoes are melting.
But then the lines in the old one, the Adam West one, were intentionally supposed to be campy and stupid. It still holds up.
I think it's funny. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I think it's a better movie than Batman Forever.
Okay, so we're definitely putting Batman, and also, and even though it's toward the bottom of the list, Batman Forever to me still has some pretty cool. I mean, there's still some positive
really
moments.
Fun. Yeah, but if you're putting it right next to that one, especially, I think it
I love it when he drops down from that like building and like Two-Face is trying to kill him and like he survives like the fire explosion and then like Two-Face gets
die?
Yeah, that
was cool. I also like the Riddler throwing his boss off of the building and like removing the cap. Like that was just such a ridiculous scene. So I would say that one. Adam West.
And that one, like Jim Carrey actually talked like predicted the future of VR, like that whole Samsung Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's what that thing is. That little idiot box.
exactly.
It's like this long thing sticking out your head. That's basically a Samsung with those big VR glasses that we have in 2016.
It was a good Riddler too. I thought he was pretty good. It was good.
He got orange hair and he was like psycho and he like had that little like question. Like he was really good at making little.
The paper mache.
Paper mache thing was insane. Like he spent so much time.
I thought Batman having to figure out what all those riddles mean at the end was pretty cool.
Val Kilmer was a good Batman. He was way better than George Clooney.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of.
He was more of like a he was a smart Batman.
Yeah.
You know, he was very like just kind of talk smart. Okay, so Batman Forever. Okay, we have Batman and Robin number 9, Batman Forever 8, Batman the Adam West version number 7. Now it kind of gets interesting. Now we're going into, I assume, out of the original franchise, the Christopher Nolan franchise, because I still put Mask of Phantasm pretty high.
Yeah.
I think we have to kind of go into Christopher Nolan
I
territory.
think you have to do the Rises now.
Yeah, I think Rises.
Rise is definitely next. I think that's
Just
something we all
plot
agree.
holes aside, like
Plot holes.
Plot holes. I mean, and they just kind of
Not
fuck
even-
with
not even
with Batman
yeah.
stuff too much.
Yeah.
You know. There are cool moments like with the Bane fight
Yeah.
scene, which is really cool.
The opening montage where it's like the plane gets ripped off.
Oh, that was insane.
How real that was.
Yeah,
was
I always
great.
thought that actor still was like the person holding them hostage was so stupid.
Yeah.
Tell me who you are.
Just saying his lines so weird.
Yeah. That was like definitely one of Christopher Nolan's friends.
I actually went and saw
cousin.
the freaking the Mission Impossible Ghost Nation or whatever
Ghost
it was.
Protocol,
Ghost Protocol, just
Ghost
to see
Chili
that.
Protocol,
Just to see the IMAX,
Yeah.
that scene in IMAX, and it was awesome.
Okay, so now we're going to top 5. I have my pick for top 5. My pick is Batman Begins. I think that's the lesser. But then we still have Batman Returns. We have Batman Returns, the original Batman, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and Batman Mask of Phantasm.
I think it would go probably the original Batman.
Yeah,
Original Batman?
Yeah,
oh,
I agree
man.
with that.
I think
I'll now vote it. I'll definitely go with that, though.
It's good, but like compared to those other ones, like it's good, but it's got like I don't know, man. I was rewatching it too because I knew I was going to be on here. It's like there's some weird. The script is a little weird in some places.
Yeah, it is, and it does have these campy moments.
Just like the guy that played Arliss is really annoying.
Oh.
He's like, so you got a grant for me, Wayne?
Yeah.
Like, there's some really bad.
I was telling him
Takes
before
you out of the film.
Before you got here, we completely forgot that Harvey Dent was in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's some-
They recast Harvey Dent, and they
Yeah.
make him a black man. They're like, awesome, this is great.
Yeah.
But then there's some really and some weird I love the weird mime scene of it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not as much fun as as revolutionary as other ones. It had to start it off. There's some fun things in there. Like even there's like a Bob Kane drawing.
The soundtrack, the Danny Elfman soundtrack is probably what sold that.
Yeah,
the best, I
and it
think,
has
right?
the Batman. It has the Prince.
Danny Elfman did a
Bill
lot of great
Prince.
things.
Oh
for it.
yeah,
Prince also. It was super weird.
Yeah,
That also takes it out of it. Yeah.
The Party Man song. That's such
Where
a
he's,
great
where
song.
he's going through the museum and he's just painting through things. It's good, but it's not as when you have the rest of those films that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the rest of those.
I
films.
really love Batman the 1989 The Final Act. We're pretty much where to me where it
In the
starts
cathedral? Yeah.
well like the cathedral and even Batman standing off like the Batwing I thought that's always badass.
Well,
to
that
me.
scene where they pan up and they show you how high where they were is
Oh
amazing.
yeah,
It's just,
no.
that
And
was
you get
great.
at a cathedral. I actually was reading this thing. That was actually Jack Nicholson's idea.
Yeah,
he actually
really?
saw it at an opera and he was like, "We have to end the Batman movie in a cathedral."
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, so we got Batman number 5. Now I still say Batman Begins has to be 4.
It's
That's one of my favorites. To be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah, that's like my favorite live action Batman movie.
I would probably I don't know. I would say probably Batman Begins if you have to do some work because Mask of Phantasm is gonna be top 3 for me.
Yeah, honestly,
So
it
it's
really is, and yeah, otherwise probably
Batman
maybe,
Begins
it'd be probably between Batman Returns and Batman Begins, I think.
Yeah, I
But which is better, Batman Begins or Batman Returns? I like Batman Returns. I think that may just be nostalgia.
Batman Returns, I'd have to go with. I mean,
But
even though
it's one of the most
ways.
successful versions of Catwoman.
I think
That's a very iconic
by far,
version of that.
if you're going like dark wise, it has to be probably the darkest Batman.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see.
And they
Michelle
did 2
Pfeiffer
full
thrown out the
enemies,
window.
and it did not. The story did not get bogged down.
3 enemies if you
3
count Mr. Walker.
Oh yeah,
Shrek,
Max Shrek. Yeah. So like they had a lot. They had a lot of adversaries, and it still didn't feel like it too much.
Well, I mean, I
then-
just like
then
the fact
Spider-Man
that
3.
Danny DeVito. I mean, he actually wants to throw babies like in the. He wants to like drown babies. He wants to drown.
He wanted to like murder rich babies. Like,
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
hilarious. Like,
Okay, so 4 Batman Begins.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're top 3. Oh man. Okay, so now it's between. I think Batman Returns, Dark Knight, or Batman Mask of Phantasm.
Number 3.
I'd almost go Returns number 3.
Yeah.
I think that one fits. Yeah.
Yeah.
For number 3.
Number 3, as much as I love it. Now the 2, the Dark Knight versus the Batman Mask of Phantasm.
I would put Phantasm as 1.
Really? Phantasm is one. It is like a great. It is a fucking great
It is
movie.
the definitive. If you're a Batman fan, it's the definitive version of like what they were trying to do with. It's like the best Batman story on there,
Yeah.
but it's like it's not. People like you can't because it was a flop.
Yeah, exactly.
Dark Knight wasn't the Dark Knight was the first one to hit $1 billion.
Yeah,
like that?
it was. It broke box
And
office
I just so
records.
repeatable and like that. I could watch that bank robber scene in Dark Knight over and over again.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
could just watch that over, like how like they like he hired all these guys and no one knew that he was there the whole time, and he's
Yeah.
like, so everything about that was interesting, like that whole theory that he might have been like a vet.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, no, the fact that he might have been actually like a military kind of
makes
guy.
sense.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
He wore purple because he might have he was a wounded soldier and he had scars and he always like it was. There's all these I don't know that just it has so much.
I do love that theory.
Weight
By the way.
on it because he's dead, and we'll never get another Heath Ledger Joker performance.
Yeah, exactly.
As good as the turn in Phantasm is, where you're like, whoa.
Well, one of the reasons why I love Phantasm, is the use of the Joker. The Joker comes in like halfway. You almost don't even realize that he's like in the movie at all.
Yeah.
Like he just kind of comes in surprisingly. He's working by himself. He has no henchmen, no Harley Quinn. Like he's just kind of just fucking things up just for the hell of it. And
he's wearing his he's wearing his outside gear a lot too. He's not wearing like his normal like what you see in the comic books like weird little like string. He's just wearing his like leisure suit Joker outfit, like Killing Joke kind of.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
I get the Killing Joke vibe from
Yeah.
it, and he just kind of because that's basically he just comes in and fucks everything up.
yeah, exactly.
So,
and that
yeah, and it's almost like incognito, just like slides in. You know what I mean?
He's just
Like,
playing. He's just playing mental chess with everybody.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's just fucking with everybody.
He just
It's great.
even the Dark Knight has some great moments. I mean, just that semi truck scene where that one shot where he comes out of that semi truck and he wants the Batman to run him down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
the scene where like
me.
where there's the video where he's gonna murder that
That's
fake.
That's my favorite part of
And
the
then
movie.
it slams
actually.
against the window, like when he's talking to like the
fuck.
mayor. It's terrifying. The movie's the writing makes it terrifying. It like Batman doesn't win. Like it feels like he's not going to win at some point. You're like, oh man, this is crazy.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
definitely like
Well, he kind of doesn't win. Batman. I mean,
He
Joker
kinda-
kind of wins at the end
'Cause he
has to make
makes him,
himself
like-
a martyr.
Yeah,
to
And he had to like a little bit compromise his principles by like doing that phone thing to find him.
Yeah,
Like, he had to
exactly.
like be a bad guy sort of.
Batman
to, like,
the Joker
be
made
George
Batman
Bush.
find a gray area. You know.
Batman has the George Bush
It is pretty good. Okay, so I mean,
it's up to you. I'm gonna give you guys 2 and 1 since this is your podcast. So
Yeah.
I almost want to go Mask of Phantasm just because it's animated, number 1.
Yeah.
But The Dark Knight, I mean, where would you
I'd go with
go?
Phantasm as
Yeah,
well.
alright,
There you
Phantasm.
go.
Alright, so the definitive list, greatest Batman films of all time. We go Batman Mask of Phantasm. Number 2, Dark Knight. Number 3, Batman Returns. Number 4, Batman Begins. 5, the original Batman. 6, Dark Knight Rises. 7, Batman, the Adam West one. Batman Forever. 8, Batman and Robin number 9. And that does it for our podcast today. Batman comedy and other stuff. You can find us on Twitter. Please follow us and reply to our stuff. We like followers. And David, you also have a podcast?
Yeah, go find Awkward Phase on iTunes, on Stitcher. Follow me on Twitter at David Mascorro. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, we all frequent the Portland open mics too. Do you have any open mics or do you have any shows that you like to do or want to get?
No, everything that I do is connected to my Twitter. So any shows that I do are on there. So just come out and support the Portland comedy scene. Where everyone's working hard, trying to make people laugh, and it's a good place to watch. And if you want to do comedy, good place to perform.
All right, Kyle, do you have any less?
I just love that we were listening to Seal, and I didn't realize it.
That's the last thing I'm going to part of the Batman Forever soundtrack. It's my Batman playlist. I have this on repeat.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll drive downtown with the Danny Elfman theme blaring,
Yeah, no, it's the theme to my life. Yeah. It's not just Batman's. All right, cool. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.